we got into a relationship a crazy ass way. Like, because I never was like, oh, this is going to be my man. And I remember the day that we got into a relationship, I told my friends, I was sitting on their floor and I was like, hey, if I ever tell y'all I want to marry this nigga, slap me because he is not the one.
Oh, wow, okay.
I said that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But by the end of the relationship, I'm like, he's the one for me. It was so crazy. Yes. So we met at the club. That's a sign right there, but yes, we met at the club. I actually did not get an instant connection, which was funny because I thought he was kind of creepy when I met him in the club. I was actually interested in his friend, and I didn't know they were friends at first, but I can't necessarily say I have a type. It's just I like what I like, you know? I wasn't attracted to him like, oh, I want to date this person. It was really like, I want to have sex with you. We got into a relationship a crazy ass way. Like, because I never was like, oh, this is going to be my man. And I remember the day that we got into a relationship, I told my friends, I was sitting on their floor and I was like, hey, if I ever tell y'all I want to marry this nigga, slap me because he is not the one.
Oh, wow, okay.
I said that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But by the end of the relationship, I'm like, he's the one for me. It was so crazy. Yes. And I think the shift was, gosh, when I turned like 25, I was like, yo, like I really, I had never, because my family, I grew up in a very like toxic family, you know, and my mom has been to jail a couple of times for domestic abuse. Not just towards us, but specifically towards her mates or her, you know, partners. And I never saw myself as being a parent, or I never really even saw myself as being married. Like I was never that girl who, I was like, oh my gosh, I have my whole wedding dreamed up. Like I was never that person, you know. I was always like, I'm gonna be a bomb ass auntie with a whole bunch of money, and I'm just gonna be fly shit. Like that was like my whole point of thinking. But when I turned 25, I was like, yo, like I want to be a parent and I want to be married one day. But I think at that point he was just starting to fall in love with me, and I was already there, you know. So I was trying to make him see me in the way that I saw him, you know, and try to force that on him.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, I tried to force that on him, and it was just because I tried to make that wasn't what our foundation was built on. You get what I'm saying? It was built on sex and false expectations. When I started to bring things to the surface that I wanted to address, you get what I'm saying, so I can go back and fix the foundation, he wasn't willing to put in the work, you know. And then that's where the struggle came, because we never really argued, you know. It was like we would see each other, we would communicate, we had fun, we laughed together. But when those real questions started to come about, that's where the tension came, and that's where it really started to go downhill, because I started realizing certain things about him that I just did not see before. Because like I said, because I liked him so much, I created this whole scenario of, okay, this is my man, we're gonna be traveling, we're gonna be doing this, we're gonna be doing that. And sometimes when you like someone so much, you, like, I know I have a problem with this, is that I fall in love with people because of their potential, not because of the blueprint that's in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So when you are liking someone, or you're trying to build with someone off of the vision that you see for them, not the vision that they have for themselves, you create false scenarios in your mind, because you have an idea of we're going here, when this person can't even see beyond where they are in this moment. I would be like, oh, this guy came up to me and, you know, said this and this, and I would say it in a joking manner, you know, and he would be like, so you gave the your number, so you talk to the. I'm like, well, if I did, I'm telling on myself if I wanted to pursue anything with him, because now you know what I'm saying? Like, or he picked up my phone a couple times and he's like, who is such and such? And I'm like, sir, that is my coworker. Right. Like, what the is wrong with you? So I was like, oh, he's got some insecurity issues that I can't handle. So I wish that I established a friendship with him first to ask those questions or to really observe who he was and how he moves, you know? So yeah, that's where I up. So that's definitely a lesson that I learned. Like, you gotta have a friendship with somebody before a relationship, for sure. It's big. Okay. That relationship definitely taught me unconditional love, because through
unconditional
love of self and just in general, because through all the shit that we went through, I still love him because of what he taught me about myself, you know? And I will always, like, when I think about it, I don't think about the bad times, you know? I mean, of course I do sometimes, because I be wanting to call him and like, no, you're not going to get dick from him. He's horrible, you know? So when I do it that time. But usually when I think about it, I think about like, damn, I really appreciate you for showing me my worth and my value, you know? I also learned that it is okay to be upfront with somebody about what you want. And if they can't give that to you, it's okay to cut them off. Like, I used to be so apologetic about why I didn't want to give my energy to somebody. You know, I would be so like, you know, like, you're a really nice guy, but I'm sorry. I'm just like, now I'd be like, nah, you really don't fit my energy. So you got to go, you know, and not apologize about that. I also learned that therapy is really a good thing, because I went to therapy after this relationship. I also learned you turn into your parents. You turn into your parents, because I used to get so mad at my mother, like, why do you cut people off so fast? Why do you move like this? Why do you do that? And literally, I just saw her last weekend and she was like, wow, you are your mother's child. And it's true. And because of that, I try to be very aware in relationships, because my mom, she's domestically violent with her partners. You get what I'm saying? And I would get so mad at him that I would think about, oh my gosh, I want to hit him, you know? So I'm very conscious, like, your parents you up. So I don't want to bring those things and those traumatic instances into relationships. So you have to go to therapy to work through that. You know what I'm saying? To create a balanced foundation. I also learned that if somebody wants to be with you, you don't have to ask for shit. You don't have to ask them to do the basics in a relationship. And that's what I learned from that relationship. I always say it's the best and the worst, because it was the best because I learned unconditional love. And the feeling that I had with him was a feeling I've never felt with anybody else. But it was the worst because he didn't take care of the basics, you know? And I was just like, I can't be with somebody. That feeling feels great, but if you can't take care of the basics, when I'm not feeling that, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm going to be taken care of, you know? And because I feel like those feelings, as circumstances happen or situations happen, those might be fleeting momentarily, you know what I'm saying? But when you have somebody that loves you enough that no matter what the feeling is at that time, they take care of the foundational things, the basic shit, then you know that you can work through and get back to that point of being in love. Because sometimes life happens, you get what I'm saying? And you can't work on your relationship or the love aspect of it because you're so busy fighting life, you know? And when you have somebody who they're not even gonna make sure that your well-being is good outside of how they feel about you in that moment, you don't need to be with that person, you know? So I learned that if they can't take care of the basics and they don't love you outside of them, outside of their feelings for you in that moment, don't with them.